So I'm not really sure where we were when we left off, but I know that I was at San Bernardino County Jail, and I know that I had already gone to my first court appearance, which basically didn't lead to anything. You know, they're they're recommending years, and that's I'd already signed the deal with the state. I'd already signed a deal with Santa Barbara County, and they were sending me to state prison for 3 years. I knew that 3 years was going to translate to 18 months. So my best case scenario is a year and a half. We've talked about it. The whole name of the game was to get it run concurrently, because we'd already made that deal with Santa Barbara, with the DA there saying, okay, we'll give you the 3 years. We're willing to run it concurrently. We can't promise what the feds are going to do. I go there and they're recommending years. One point they recommended 2. At one point they recommended 3. Not really sure. This was a while ago, and it was like I was still going through post acute withdrawal from the Suboxone. Um, and I was coming back to life from having a breakdown. Karina had a lot to do with getting me straight again. You know, I was kind of like coming back from the delusions. I was like, okay, well, I really had the best intentions in the world. I was trying to blow myself up really with a career that had been relatively stagnant up until that point. But when Zach came along, at least I had an opportunity. It seemed like I had an opportunity. And if I just went and fired on full cylinders, that there was a possibility that I'd be able to get out of it somehow. And that fantasy consumed me. And I became this like caricature. It's very hard to describe what was going through my mind at that time. I thought I was going to go viral. That's how I felt. And, there's a lot of people that probably won't even admit shit like that after the fact, because I failed then. And I had this opportunity to make this movie about me. And it was going to be a really good movie. We had so much good archival footage. But the movie wasn't ready to be made then, you know. It was only ready to be made now, because I actually had to turn around and things had to happen. And the feeling that I had then was that I'd blown it. I'd blown it. I'd let her down. I'd let my family down. See, they had always thought that I was putting more emphasis on the career shit and not on the fact that she was pregnant, what I should have done. And definitely in retrospect, looking back, I was wrong in this. I was wrong with Zach. I was wrong with Antoine. I was wrong with Jerry Stahl. All of these people, I was wrong. I can see that because I'm not crazy anymore. And I can admit that I made mistakes. And I wish that I had played my cards differently because I had a good opportunity then. And if I hadn't gone crazy, fuck, maybe I would have pulled it off. The event was really the beginning of the end for it. By the time I'd gotten to San Bernardino County Jail, I got my ribs broken. I'd been betrayed by these homeless wannabe Peckerwoods or whatever. They're children, it's just not the way I was schooled coming up in the feds. I was a fed baby, and those people carry themselves differently. Federal inmates, they just do. It's not your typical county jail guys that, save up camel cash for a camel fanny pack. They're like, dude, the Zippo too? Sorry, man, just the fanny pack. Fuck, I can't catch a break. That's what kind of guys they were, right? And I had my ribs broken, and I lost my mind. I was snorting meth with, you know, um, these Sereno, apparitions. Is it apparitions or apparitions? You know what I'm trying to say? A ghostly Southsider. I think apparitions. Apparitions. I don't fucking know. They say it in Ghostbusters. That's where I learned the word originally. Fun fact. I was boofing random shit up my ass. It's probably rat shit, when it comes down to it. Who knows what it was? But the fact of the matter is, obviously, I wasn't well. I was physically sick. I was broken. I was really heartbroken that I was going to miss Nico's birth. Because I tried so fucking hard. And then when it didn't happen, I was just like, and then the betrayal of what had happened in county. And not having phone access, and now I'm in San Bernardino. I'd gone to court with these high power guys, these MA dudes. They were cool. They liked me. We went back, and I don't really remember what happened and what the deal was right before I'd gone for sentencing, but I know that I was talking to Karina every day at the time, and they were 20-minute calls like we talked about, and a lot of people are shooting me love, sending me packages. You could get packages in there, these like pre-made, like, they had like the wake up package, and it was like coffee and cocoa, and they had the rockin' ramen, and it was like 30 top ramens that made you gain like 30 pounds every time you ate 30 of them, because it has so much sodium. That stuff's so garbage for you. But they gave me, I was the shot caller of this place. Not like that was some fucking accolade or anything. I mean, it was, I was basically with people that had never done time or elderly guys, and it was mostly Fed guys, but county guys would come in there, just weird ass people. They didn't have any direction. They didn't know what to do. A lot of them were spooked. I'm the only one that had been to prison a couple times. I think part of the reason that I'd gone so crazy is that I knew exactly where I was going. I mean, prison is a nightmare. If you haven't been, it's everything you fucking think it would be, depending on what level. I mean, any level. Doesn't even matter if you're in like a low security, a camp. I was in medium and high security places the whole time when I was on federal custody. It was a nightmare. It was violent, scary, so many nights. I remember in Victorville, they had this weird radio station. I don't even remember the name of it, but it was like the only station they got. It was like classic rock. And for whatever reason, like Alice Cooper would come on at like 10 o'clock to like 2 in the morning or something. And then they would just play Fleetwood Mac. It was like one Fleetwood Mac album, and they played like the same fucking album every night, like clockwork. Like I could realize, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. I remember like sitting there and crying, listening to it, just wondering how I'd taken it so far. Like I couldn't believe that I was in federal prison, and that I'd years. I mean, well, best case scenario, I get out in like 4 years. Been down like 9 or 10 months at the time, and I remember I'd like cry myself to sleep. Beat off sometimes with my cellie below me, and you come and that, yeah. So what? Life sucked back then, but I'd cry myself to sleep a lot. Not even crying like sobbing, not like oh fuck my life, like more just like eyes open and so much pain, like just like they'd get, they'd tear up, always in debt, always like staying up all night wondering if the money was going to hit my books in the morning or if I was going to get killed in there. And then somehow getting sober the last year, writing a book, staying sober for 3 years, making a good life for myself, and then fucking it up. I mean, I always, give me an opportunity, I will fuck it up. And then going back again for the non-conviction DUI. Got to meet Big Meech. That was worth it, Then getting out and just catching a case like that for pimping. Not a pimp. Listen to Willie Nelson. I don't really listen to Willie Nelson, but I just thought that'd be a funny thing to say. Like, I'm not a pimp. I listen to Willie Nelson. I'm a white guy. It's become that kind of black and white thing with that charge. Throughout the whole term, people would be like, you're not black. What the fuck is that? I mean, even do it. Anyway. So I don't really remember the exact chronology, but what I do know is that I was the shot caller, which didn't mean shit, It's not like they're going to build some fucking bowling alley with a tribute to me, like it was some bronze statue bowling, boofing balloon plugs full of tobacco, Well, Ryan Leone had this unit in 2019, bro. There's history here, bro. It's not like anything like that. In fact, it was a fucking nightmare. And this kid came in. This was right before, I know this was before sentencing. It's like, some cool white guys would come in. I'd come in there, I had a kitty for them. I'd make them work out, and now, I'm 32. I'm having to take on like a parental role to some degree. And like, there's 40-year-old guys in there that have never been to jail. They're in there for like a domestic, and they're like, I loved her, man. I can't believe that I beat her up like that. And I'm just like, oh my God, why'd you beat her up? Well, this is the thing. Ryan. I wouldn't allow her to wear makeup to work because, well, I don't want anyone else to think she's pretty. Why would she want to look pretty when she's with me? Doesn't make sense, see? So I fucked her up. I caught her with makeup on. How much time do you think I'm going to get? I don't know. Why'd you beat up your girlfriend? Maybe you deserve jail. I'm not running Peckerwood anymore. Well, you don't really get to make that call, man. Oh, yeah? Go up to some old black guy. Hey, yo, I'm Todd. I'm black now. Black guy would be like, I'm like, I don't know. My ribs hurt. I'm sitting. I don't know. That guy beats up his girl. You know what? Black guy's like, we don't want this fool. I'm like, come on, guys. Fucking give me some, like, ugh. So there's one, okay, but like some cool guys would come in there. This guy, Doug, came in, saw him recently. You're probably watching it, Doug. I love you. We had a good time together in there. We butt fucked, all that. Butt fucked in a dorm setting. No, Doug was a cool ass guy. We didn't butt fuck. I'm joking, Doug. He had just done 10 in the feds. He was an older guy, like, whoa. It's like an older, like, tweaker guy. Sorry, Doug. I'm not putting you on blast. He was, and this was his whole thing. He'd done 10 years in the feds for selling meth. His whole thing was that he would sell it, or he'd send it in packages, I think up to Idaho. That's what was going on. His girlfriend would like go up there to collect the money, if I remember correctly. Something where like a package got caught. He wasn't selling. It was like a quarter pound or something, 4 ounces. I don't know how much is an ounce of meth these days. It's like $70 or something. I mean, it's like really cheap. It's not a lot of money. There's a lot. I mean, a quarter pound of meth is a lot of meth. And, if I did that, I'd probably had sex with animals or something. I mean, it's a weird drug. But anyway, he ended up getting told on years and years and years ago. And he went in and he did 10 years in the feds, but he was already older at the time. So he had done the majority of his time at like camps and stuff. And he's the one that would tell me like crazy, like, yeah, we'd call fucking strippers out of the yellow pages, dude. And, we'd work on these houses like off campus. His job was to go pick up cigarettes for the cops, It's like, yeah, Hank, what'd you need, man? Oh, carton of Marlboro. Oh, I got you. Hey, you care if I get a scratch or two? Go ahead, Doug. Cool. Like, what the fuck? How is that prison? What the fuck? I had like plexiglass knives stuck in my asshole. What? God. But he's a good guy. Good dude. And what had happened is he had gotten out and he did well for a long time. Stayed in his lane. Did what he was supposed to do. I think he was staying off meth. I'm pretty sure. But what had happened is he was making a lot of money and he was an epoxy floor guy. A lot of times he'd have to travel. Now, on federal supervision, you have to get travel passes if you go outside your county. It's a fucking hassle. You have to do it 2 weeks in advance. They have to clear it. And they want like, okay, we want an exact itinerary where you're going, Mr. Leone. I'm like, well, okay. What do you like? And I'm seriously, you'd have to like write on a piece of paper, like, okay, well, then I'm going to get off on, I'm going to get on the 101. I'm going to get off on, Laurel Canyon, and I'm going to do, and it's like, you have to give them exact itinerary. And what would happen is because he was making a lot of money, but he had to travel a lot. And so he said he tried at first, like, okay, all right, I'll play by your rules, but what do you do when it's like last minute call and they're like, okay, you need to drive from Riverside up to Santa Cruz. There's no notice because that's just the nature of the job. He didn't leave the state. He was just traveling within the state, but he'd have to tell them in advance. So he got to a point where he just didn't tell them. He's like, I mean, I'm not going to let them get a kid. I'm not going to let them interfere with my ability to make money. Fuck that. So he starts just kind of bucking and doing what he wants. And it's the kind of thing where they'd like call him to get drug tested and he'd like be like 5 hours away and he'd have to like stop what he's doing, go all the way back and just play this game and jump through these hoops. And he just didn't get it. He's like, man, I'm not really doing it. I'm working, I mean, how many people get out of prison and actually get a job? Not that many, unfortunately, and no fault of their own. A lot of times convicts can't get work. Or like, have you ever been arrested for a felony? Just conspiracy to distribute heroin, just possession with intent to sell heroin, and just pimping and pandering. I'm an okay guy. Yeah, right. You're not getting a job. You can't even work at you cannot even work at like a convenient, you can't work at fast food restaurants. Felonies really preclude you from a lot. And in certain cases, that's, you can kind of slide through, but it was hard for me and it's hard for him and he was in a good position. So eventually he's just like, you know what? He had like a year left and he just went to his PO and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to do probation anymore. I'm good. She's like, what do you mean? He's like, nah, I'm not doing it. So if you want to lock me up, let's set up a court date, but I'm just done. And she's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, it means I'm not going to be compliant anymore. I don't want to do this. I want to smoke meth and I want to fucking do epoxy floors. Fuck you. And he's like, he's actually a really nice guy. He's like, it's not you. It's the company you work for. She's like, the U.S. government? He's like, fuck those people. Yeah. Did 10 years for a quarter pound of meth. I have a good job. Fuck you. I'll see you in court. So he goes to court and he tells the judge, he's on some, I get it. He's on some idealistic shit. I totally get that. He gives him some like grandiose, speech, right? Practice in front of the mirror. You're like, fuck you. Fuck the president. Fuck the attorney general, whatever. And judge is like, sir, you've never had a violation. Why are you doing this? I'm on meth. And I want to go to jail. And the judge was like, I don't know. I don't think you meet the qualifications for a violation. Well, what if I said, fuck you to you? He's like, well, if you said that to me, yes, I'd violate you. He's like, fuck you. Boom, he violated him. Thing is he violated him with the condition that he wouldn't have probation afterwards. And he had to do, I want to say 6 or 7 months. And he told me, he's like, it's worth it for me. The anxiety. And I understand that, they were cool with me in the beginning. And there's certain people that they're cooler with than others. I was high risk because I got in a lot of trouble in prison for mostly like dumb, like making alcohol or, dirty drug tests, like stuff that honestly, it's like, I mean, it's not like, well, he was making Pruno in prison. He's probably going to get out and kill people. Duh. Let's be stricter with that guy. It wasn't really like that. It was just I was a junkie. I mean, that was my whole deal. So I think he got like 6 or 7 months. Point of the story is he comes in and finally I'm with like someone that's actually done time and he's cool. All gay humor. I'm like, dude, let's butt fuck. He's like, let's do it. And everyone's like, ew. Like, shut up. Go beat your wife. You're black now. He's like, I am black now. And I was like, okay, dude. There's really like weirdos like that. So anyway, so this kid, so Doug's there and he's like he's my boy. Like he sleeps in the bed next to me. And we just kind of like, because my ribs are still fucked. I mean, it takes forever for ribs to heal. It's not like you can get a cast or anything. So I'm just like always in bed. I'm just gaining a lot of weight. I'm eating my rockin' ramens. We'll just kind of like waddle out of bed, like eating like a, soup with like crunched up Doritos. And like, I'm like, oh, dude, a summer sausage. I'll just eat the whole thing. Fuck. I'll just like, don't even cut it up. It just like looks like some dildo on top of the soup. I'm just like, I'm like smashing a summer sausage like while I'm on the phone. I was just getting ridiculous. I talked to Korean, and she really brought me out of it. I mean, that's really when like we fell in love, and she's just like, I got your back. I'm gonna ride with you, and she did. Wrote me all the time, sent me pictures, money on the books, good, visited me, all that stuff. We're about to have a child together. It's a big deal, and as I got more sane, I was able to be there for her. And like I said, I forget what they recommend. It was either 2 or 3 years. They went back and forth a couple times. I think it might have been 3 years is what they were recommending, and I had already been sentenced to 3 years in the state. So it's like if they wanted to really be assholes, they'll give me 3 years, and that's going to eat up all my state time. But I'm going to do 3 years instead of 18 months. So I was like, man, and it's not just the time; it's knowing what I'm going back to. So this kid comes in and he's in bad shape. He's like one of the most, and this is, listen, I'm not like people, I've heard people comment, oh, what, man? What, man? You get sober for like a week and now you're going to judge people, you piece of shit. I'm like, never that. Never, never, never that. I totally get it. I don't judge people usually, but this guy looked like a straight up, like the worst junkie I've ever seen. Like he was bad, he's younger than me and he just was like, he was ridiculous. He had like that permanent, like, yo, I'm going to be kicking so hard. I shit my pants, all that. It's like the most rancid fucking junkie I've ever seen. I mean, seriously, like Doug was like, man, what are we going to do with that guy? I'm like, dude, I don't know. He looks like a liability, and he was bad. He was bad. It's one of those guys. I don't know what he was. I mean, I know he's kicking heroin, but I don't know what else he was kicking because he was having hallucinations and he would say weird stuff. He'd be like, oh, did I leave here in the middle of the night and get drugs out of a backpack? I'm like, yep. So I knew it. Can I have them? I'm like, dude, I'm Joe. No, how would you have left? Oh, you're trying to steal from me, huh? You and your friend Doug. That what you do? You pick on people that have backpacks, and then he just like curl up in a ball and start like farting and stuff again. This is great. I mean, he was kicking bad, and like come on, I definitely have sympathy, but I'm telling you, this was like one of the worst junkie looking dudes I've ever seen in my life. I don't even know how to describe him to you so that you could like understand. He was like younger than me, but he was like balding, but he had like long hair that would like go like down to his, it looked ridiculous. It looked like he had like escaped from a mental hospital. And he says that, um, is there is there a chance that we could riot today? Because I'm not really, I don't know, man. I'm still sick. I'd be like, don't say shit like that, man. Please don't say that. Don't fucking say riot, okay? Don't say that like in a jail setting. You like see all these like other like races like looking at us like, this guy he looked ridiculous. I don't even know how to describe him, and like usually I'm not at like a loss of words, but this guy was he was quite a sight. He was junkie fabulous, as they say. So so I knew this guy was going to be an issue, and I was waiting for sentencing. And so remember the Paisa rep. This was this guy named Lewis, hilarious guy. Every time a black guy would come in, he'd look at me and be like, "Oh, Leone, big one, huh?" I'm like, "Come on, man." Goes without saying. He's like, phew. And it was humor. That was his sense of humor. So we got a lot, but he ran the Paisas, and there was like a 98% of the dorm was like Paisa, and then there was like me and like a few white guys. One of them was Doug, solid guy. Then there was like this other guy. He looked like Sideshow Bob. I guess that's the best. He's just like, the backpack thing, I'm like, okay. So one day I'm in bed. Lewis comes up to me and he's one of those Paisas that's really nice. You see this with Paisas a lot. He speaks English, but it's not his first language. And when you notice this sometimes with people where English isn't their first language, they smile a lot when they're uncomfortable. Hi. Why are you talking like that? He's like, we have a problem with that guy, you know, and it was the junkie kid. I was like, well, okay. I'm sure it's something that we can, I'm sure it's something we can come to an agreement on. What'd the guy do? Well, he shit in the shower. I'm like, oh man, oh, that sucks. Okay, well, I'll have him clean it. He's like, well, it's worse than that. I'm like, what's up? And he, you know, he's got this awkward smile. Well, um, come here. Now, my ribs hurt. Even waddling to the phone with my summer sausage was like a big deal. And I was like getting so fat in my waddlings and like that I was just like I was like all gassy. So I was like one of these like classic fat guys with like a hunch where I'd like waddle and just fart and I'd be like, dude, I'm so excuse me, Spencer. And, oh, it's okay. It's okay. Malia's right. Yeah. Yeah. So I look and there's a trail of shit like and it's like unmistakable. Like there's no doubt in my mind that it's from him. It's dope sick like baby looking shit. It's runny and there's like it's ridiculous. It's like some shit you'd see in like a I don't even know like it like you know it like led the trail back to the shower to his bunk. There was like a clear trail of shit from his there's no way it wasn't him. There was shit in the shower and it was ridiculous because the shit was in the shower and it was like smashed in the drain. There was like a you could like see a handprint on it type of thing, you know, and it went from the shower like so like there's like urinals, there's a shower, it's a group shower. I hate group showers, but whatever. Dorm, all the Pisces were in like the premier, you know, beds, and then it like went around and there was like just this big row of like barrack style things. All the white guys were kind of like in one area. You know, we'd like taken over one area of this. And I tell Doug, I'm like, hey man, the kid shit. He's like, well, how do you know it's him? You're just gonna take the Mexican's word for it? I'm like, Doug, they've been nothing but cool to us, and come here, man. What? Look at this. And Doug's like, oh yeah, he did that for sure. I was like, yeah. Leads to his bed. There's like shit. Like it was ridiculous. It went from the shower, so it went from the shower all the way around up into his bed. Put me in a weird position because they just wanted it to be cleaned up. That's it. But listen, I'm not gonna do that. I don't care. You know, I'm just not gonna clean up another guy's shit. I'm just not gonna do it. I'd probably do it for someone that I really cared about. You know, when Paul was still alive, I'd do that for him because he's like a brother. You know, Jeff, if he did that, I'd do it. Karina. I don't know why we're talking. It's just odd that I'm having to put this into context, but there's certain people that I do it for because I love them enough to do it. Not this fuck though. You know, this guy was. Did I leave and get drugs and put them in a backpack? I was just like, dude. So I go up to him and I'm like, hey man. He's like, yeah. I'm like, did you shit in the shower? He's like, I was sleeping. No, I have an alibi. I'm like, okay, well, who's your alibi? He's like, and I was like, who's your alibi? And he's like, and he just couldn't say anything. I was like, what the fuck, dude? I'm like, oh my God. So now it's an interesting position because now the Pisces are not going to clean the shit up. I'm certainly not going to. My fucking ribs are broken anyway. You know, I'm like hating life. I'm depressed. I'm fat. I'm waddling around everywhere. I'm not going to do this shit. I got to get on my knees and clean it like a bitch, you know? So I told the guy, I said, look, I know you did it. There's shit on your fucking pant leg, dude. What do you, like, there's a trail. He's like, you're just bullying me. I'm like, I don't normally say this, but when you get out of here, I hope you do fucking drugs again, dude. Seriously, what the fuck is wrong with you? God. I go to Louis. And now I'm in an interesting position because I'm going to look like a bitch if I clean it. This happened like 3 years ago. I'm mad about it right now. I'm like thinking, I haven't thought about this for a long time. They had like They had like one of those big wooden, you know, like mops, you know, I mean, that they would have like in a jail or hospital setting, you know, big, like, Doug's like, why don't we just clean it? I'm like, you can clean it then. He's like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, well, then we're in the same, I'm not going to do that. I mean, Doug and I are pretty much like in cahoots now. Like, you know, it's like we're running it. It wasn't like we were running some like huge, dangerous wood pile. It was a bunch of guys that had never been to jail before. So what ends up happening is I'm like, okay, all right, we got to just make him do it. I mean, there's no other fucking way. And he's like, you know, so we go up to him and we're like, look, man, you got to do it. You got to just clean. He's like, oh. And he pulls hair up. Now I understand why there's patches. I'm like, oh my God, this dude's a J-cat. I'm like, okay, dude. Either you clean it or we're going to beat you up. And I hate to go there with you, man, but it is what it fucking is. I'm not going to do it. He's like, shh. And it must have been so embarrassing. So he gets down on his hands and knees. He's like, it's ridiculous. He's looking up. He's like this. I hope you're happy. I'm like, okay. So what's kind of funny about it is that he has to go like down this long corridor of beds, and he has like this like rag, right? We're gonna have him do it with the broom, but he's like, I'll do it with the rag. I'm like, okay, you want to be hardcore about it? Fine, you know. Scrubbing it. He goes to the shower, cleans it up. This takes like an hour, right? I'm just like, God damn, I could be in bed right now reading. What was I reading at the time? It doesn't matter. I don't know. Just curiosity. What was I reading? I think I was reading In the Belly of the Beast at the time. I read that there. Basketball Diaries. I read that there. I read a bunch of shit there. So anyway, so he comes back and he's just like, it took like an hour. He has this shitty rag, and like all the other, you know, all the Pisces are laughing at him. The black dudes are laughing. There's like one Southsider that's there is laughing. There's like some Native American with a headband. He's laughing. The guy wasn't even there before. He just like manifested. He's like, oh, and then like this. No, I'm just kidding. So he gets all the way back, and he goes back into his bed, and I swear, this is not bullshit. I know I say that all the time, and you're like, well, why do you have to say that sometimes? Because it just sounds ridiculous. He's climbing back in bed, and he fucking shits himself as he's doing it. Like, he just spent all this time doing it, and he's like climbing in bed, and I guess the task was too hard on his like fragile stomach, and he just lets one like, and it's like a ridiculous, it's like a horse shit sound. It's like volcanic. Seeps out of him, and it just spread, and it's like, it almost is like has the consistency of vomit. It's like very liquidy, and I'm just like, dude, oh my God, man, oh my God, dude. I told Doug, I'm like, Doug, what do we do, man? It's like, should we smash him out? I'm like, no. Are you serious? He's like, no, I'm just kidding. That's never the answer. I just wanted to see what you were going to say. I'm like, you were serious about it. That's fucked up. Should we? I don't know. He's kind of a liability. I'm like, God, I don't know, man. I'm not going to do it. I have broken ribs. Will you do it? Doug's like, no. I'm like, well, if we just make him, let's like make him clean it and let's make him leave. Now, my logic behind that is that it was a liability to us. Like, he's pissed. Okay, look, anytime you go, let me tell you, this is a secret in life. Anywhere you go anywhere and you shit publicly, it doesn't matter if it's a public pool, if it's a playground, if it's a fucking church, it doesn't matter. You shit in public, like in a non-designated shit area, like a barrack or a bed or like anywhere, you're not going to be a popular guy, especially if it's like communal living like that. So we make him clean it up with this broom. And he's like, you know, and he's like mad at us for it. I'm like, dude, what do you just expect? Like, and he's like, I'm going to be completely honest. The first time, I didn't even do it. I just did it because you already thought I did it the second time. I'm like, dude, Wow. Okay, dude. So I make him clean it up with the broom, and I'm like, man, I'm never like, I'm in this like position of power with like two or three white guys, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not the kind of guy that wants like people to get hurt. I'll fight and like, and I'll lead by example. Even though I will fight even in that state. But I don't really like hurting people, and I certainly don't want to be like the kind of guy where I'm like, break his legs. I'd be break his legs and then suck his dick. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just not really cut like that. I don't like people getting hurt. I'm not the kind of guy where like at a bar, like I can't stand it when people just start going at it at a bar and then like everyone's like, dude, look at the fight. Cool. It's like, why would you even want to watch that? Like I go to bars to fucking meet girls and fuck them. I am not go to bars to fight people. But there's people like that. They're like, I've gone to bars with people and they're like bumping Slayer and they're like, yo, this makes me want to fuck somebody up. Yeah. Okay. Weirdo, fucking weirdo. So I tell the guy, I'm like, look, man, sorry, I'm doing snuff now. I'm trying to quit smoking. I really am. It's like the one area of my life I'm not happy about. So I tell the guy, I'm like, look, man, I hate to say it, but you gotta go. You gotta go. Oh, man, where am I gonna go? I'm like, anywhere but here, dude. You can't shit here. I go to the Pisces, and the Pisces are like, so what are you going to do? Are you going to smash him out? I'm like, no, dude. No. I just told him he's got to go. And, Lou's like, I support that. I was like, okay, whatever, man. So we tell him to leave. Now, the way that this place was set up is it was like two-story. It was like, there was like a flight of stairs that went down, and then there was like a whole nother unit that you could go down the stairs and you can access them. Later on, as we get more into this San Bernardino place I was at, I was getting like a lot of drugs from below. Drugs would come in periodically, and they were always like down in that tank. And that was the one cool thing about being the rep or whatever, is I always got like I got blessed with drugs, which was cool, except for the few times that meth. We'll get into that, but fuck, dude, or shooting coke at this place. Oh my God, it was fucking wild. It's a whole nother story, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so down at the end of the flight of stairs, there's this gate, and that gate is like, they open it when you go to chow, when you have any movement, if you go to visit, any of that, they open this gate and you go, and then you're like in this other part of the jail. This is at San Bernardino Central Detention Center. So I made him, like, I helped the guy pack his stuff. The whole place smelled like shit. It smelled like, I don't know how a butt fucking conga line smells. You guys are like, yeah, right. But I'd imagine it smelled like this. It smelled like a fucking diaper in this place, right? It sucks. It sucks being 32 and having to babysit people like this, So he's just like, I'll never forget this, and I'll never forgive you. I was like, okay. That's, you know what? I changed my mind. Go ahead and get back in the bunk, man. I didn't realize I was being an asshole. It wasn't even like that, man. It was just a liability. So I send him down the stairs with his like property, and he's like all sad. He's like, I can't believe you guys are kicking me out. I can't believe you've been shitting everywhere and like trying to act like you didn't do it. So he like leaves, and we like forget. So he has to go sleep. Like he like just gets his shit and curls up at the bottom of the stairwell. It was kind of sad. I kind of felt bad, but I just went back to reading Basketball Diaries. I was like, fuck him, whatever. See what's happening with Jim Carroll. About 6 hours. So like 6 hours goes by, right? Like so much time goes by. I don't know if it's 6 hours, but hours and hours and hours goes by. About 50 cops run in there, and they're like, everybody down, and we're just, and they're like, have like spray, mace out, like, down, motherfucker. I was like, whoa, what's up? Who is calling the shots here? I was like, not me. I didn't. I was like, that would have been fucked up. I was like, there's like 3 white guys. I'm like, not me. It wasn't me. It's these between them. None of us say anything. They're asking us who's calling the shots because they're mad that this kid that we like rolled some guy out there in typical. Yeah, well, what's the other place called? Is it I don't even remember. There's like 3 other like locations. I can't remember what the other ones are called. Like it's the kind of jail where there's like different locations, like 4 miles away there's like a whole nother place, and they all have like different I don't know. I was only at this place, but you'd hear stories about how it's like more rocking and rolling at these other spots. Whoever's politicking is gonna get shipped to wherever it was, and you're not gonna like it there. Oh no, fist fights weekly. He said that. I was like, what the fuck? Okay, but like, then years in prison, and people are like getting stabbed. What do you like? Okay, not fist fights weekly, sir. I learned my lesson. We won't roll anyone out of here anymore. And it was weird. I mean, like, how often does that happen? And Lewis, so the cops, like, there are all these cops, and now they're hitting our unit. They're searching us. They're ripping everyone's shit apart. Oh, this guy's an extra blanket. And like now it's on like, now Doug's like, we should have smashed him out. I'm like, if we had smashed him out, we would have had the same result. Obviously, they're tripping on stuff like this. So they searched us, didn't find anything, and then they pretty much asked us who was running it again. None of us would say anything. So they basically said, okay, this is what's going to happen. You guys aren't rolling people out. You aren't on political shit like that. We're bringing the kid back. And if it happens again, every single one of you is going to go to the hole in the same cell. Like, just saying shit that didn't even make sense. We're like, what the fuck? Yeah, you're going to fit 100 people in it. Okay, dude, whatever. So Lewis comes up. So the kid comes back. He's like, I knew you didn't want me to really leave. Or like, oh my God, not this guy, And Lewis came up to me and he's like, dude, honestly, like, the kid's sick. We get that. Like, we're not tripping on it. We're with you, like, whatever. If you want us to smash him out, I'm not going to have another race smash out like my own problem child. What do you want to do? And he's like, well, in state prison, we can't let the cops tell us what to do. We should go at it with them. I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, well, let's just take off on them. I'm like, you want to take off on them? I'm like, and this is like, now I'm in this predicament. I'm like, okay, you want to go at it with the cops? He's like, yeah. I'm like, how much time are you looking at? He's like, 3 years for illegal entry, which is like, crossing the border illegally. I'm like, because this guy had been to state prison. That's why he was like the rep for the Pisces. So ultimately, anyway, make a long story short, sorry, I went off on some weird shit. We just all decided, everybody, like, all the races got together. It was like some fucking UN conference, right? Like, we had like, like seating labels in front of us. It was like Ryan Leone, Peckerwood ambassador. I was like, hey, I don't care. Whatever, it's up to you. Whatever you guys think. If you want me to get rid of them, I'll fucking go to the hole and I'll say I did it. Basically, the cops were like trying to like set the standard where like we weren't allowed to roll people, which is bizarre at a jail, but it was just whatever. So we ultimately let him stay, and it's, oh my God, it led to so many problems, but that's not where this story tonight's going. It's just kind of letting like, kind of how it all started, God, that guy. Hey, it's definitely not over with him. We'll get back to him, but he was so weird. That guy was so weird. Sorry, my like dips like coming out. I rarely say that too. I'm rarely like, yeah, that guy was a weirdo. This guy was a cold weirdo. Seriously. So it's kind of like the stuff that I'm dealing with, like really petty, lame, childish. Like, I feel like I'm, Lord of the Flies type stuff. I end up going back to court around this time. I don't really remember the chronology, like I said, but I went, and like, I think that it was 3 years. I think that's what they were offering. They kept going back and forth from 2 to 3. And same thing, when I went to court this time, I went with the high profile guys again. I guess they had the same judge, so we would all go the same day. Now I knew them, and there was also a girl there, some Southsider chick. So she was sitting in the very back, and the high power guys, and they were like really happy to see me. And we started talking, and I was telling them I was going for Zen. So, all right, dog, all right. Hey, good luck to you, fool. All right. Those guys kind of talk a little more like, oh, is that right? Okay. Those are the big homies, wearing the red. They're like doing life, and I don't know. They were telling me that they had like their own floor, which is true at this jail. Like they put like the high power people like that. They gave them like the same size unit as us, but it was like just the three of them. Weirdo shit. They had like this huge dorm. It was like three of them. Probably had like forts set up with like blankets. It was like a little city. The three of them. They like set up little convenience store. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know what it was like in there, but I know they had this whole unit for themselves. So we ended up going to court, and the good thing about this was sentencing now for me, and the good thing about that is that I knew Karina was going to be there, and I was like, and my parents were going to be there too, and Santos, the dude that had bought the rights and adapted Wasting Talent into the Love in Vain script, he was coming too. That was our whole strategy. He was going to come and be like, look, we're making his book into a movie. He has opportunities. Please give him some mercy. He's a drug addict. He's a piece of shit. We're not saying he's not. He's a scumbag junkie. But who are you? Why are you here? I wrote Spun. Yeah, sir, we're going to have to ask you to go. He's like, oh, okay. All right, bye. Sorry. I don't really care about you, Ryan. I'm in it for the money. I was like, oh. No, he didn't say that. He did show up. That was kind of him. So he was there. My parents were there, and Karina. So it was Santos, my mom and dad, Karina, and Karina was pregnant with Nico. So I get there and I'm tripping, man, because it's I didn't know what I was gonna get. It was like the difference between a year and a half and 3 years. They could be cool, and they could give me under a year, and that would mean that I'd still do a year and a half because it would. I'd get credit for it. I'd have to go. I'd probably get shipped to a prison and then get shipped back to Santa Barbara County and then go to state prison. That's the best case scenario, but that's not really what they were saying. And when I was in the tank, I ran into some guy that I'd like met in like 2017 when I was on the non-conviction DUI, and he's like, "Hey, dog, I read your book, fool. You're fucking weird. The pocket ball, that's fucking weird. Kind of like it though, kind of." I was like, "Oh, okay." He remembered, and he actually read the book, and that was cool. I remembered him. He was getting life. He was getting sentenced to life that day. I forget what he did. I mean, probably a murder or something. But I remember he came back because he went before me. So we were in the same tank, and he had remembered me. He's like, hey, this fucking white boy's a Tecato. He's a straight fucking cold junkie. He fucking smokes crystal meth. He shoots crystal meth. He looks at his own butthole in the mirror. It's fucking gangster, dog. I fucking respect you, fool. I want to have sex with you, dog. Kinda. It was like shit like that. But he ended. But actually, in all seriousness, he got a life sentence that day, and it's always fucked up to see that. I mean, he knew that was coming, but the reality of it when they read the judgment, we sentence you to life federal prison. I mean, that's got to be. I mean, just for them to say it, I wouldn't know what that would feel like, but people always kind of come back with the same reaction. Like I don't know. He was like kind of like in a good mood. It's like, yeah, dog, they're gonna give me life, but but at least I got $40 on my books, though, fool. So it's kind of whatever, dog. And he was kind of like in a good mood, and then he came back, and he was just kind of like, I'm like, did you at least get like a short probation term? He's like, yeah, dog, only 4 years after life. I don't know. Maybe I'll get some job or some shit like that, fool. Stay down wood. So I ended up going. I ended up going into the courtroom, which was cool. And it was awesome to see Karina. It's like I hadn't seen them for I don't know, like a month, couple months. I saw my parents, and my parents are rock stars. They always went to all my court dates. I can say that they were always super supportive, and I'm very fortunate that I had them never giving up on me. My dad was always like, I've always known you're going to turn it around. And I'm like, man, looking back on everything I put him through, it's amazing that he did he did he maintain that attitude? You know, he sustained that, you know, he just never gave up. You know, he's like, I always knew in my heart you turned it around someday, because I knew you weren't a bad person. You're just a junkie. And yeah, I've turned it around now, but fuck, it took a long time, and I really do feel like I'm not going back, you know. A lot of that has to do with my kid. You know, I don't know. And then Paul dying, that kind of just shook me up. Um but it was cool. It was really nice to see them. So I was in court, and my attorney came up to me, and he was cool because thing about him is he was a public defender, but he was going to be working for the same law office as the woman that my dad had put on retainers, like the quarterback. You know, he gave her money, and she was kind of calling the shots for the state and public defender, because they had to coordinate. It's a complex thing when you're dealing with different custodies: state custody, federal custody. And he came up to me and he was like, hey, so this is what's up. They're going to draw. So these were my allegations. Remember, it's allegations. The first one, like I said, we talked about it last time, was not telling him my change of address, which is true. I did that. So he's like, so you're going to admit that, because they pretty much have proof. So we'll admit that one. It's admit or deny. We'll admit that one. Second one is marijuana. You admitted that you used marijuana, and that was bullshit, because I'd asked my PO if I could smoke weed. I was like, yeah, I got a rec. He's like, yeah, for sure, brother. I was like, okay, cool. And then he called me back. He's like, hey man, did you already smoke? Because I talked to my boss and you kind of can't smoke now. I was like, well, fuck, what do you mean, Josh? I already smoked. He's like, oh, fuck, we're going to violate you. Fell for it, bitch. And I was like, oh my God. So that one was kind of a bullshit one. So he goes, well, with the marijuana one, they're going to drop it. The U.S. attorney, which is the equivalent of the DA on the federal level, he's going to drop that one. So what does that mean? Like, well, it doesn't mean you're going to get any less time. I was like, oh, that's fucks and sucks. Well, what does it mean? They can't use it against you. What does that mean? If I'm not going to get less time, why does that matter? Well, it's relevant conduct. They can't use. They're willing to drop that one. But the main one, and then the community service one. Remember where I had to scrub shit with the toilet? I beat off in the toilet, and someone on Patreon was like, "You're a sex offender who beats off in a fucking public bathroom." The door was closed, and I didn't have a fucking trench coat on. I wasn't exposing myself. I went to the bathroom and jerked off with the door closed. You never done that? Jeez. Probably never shot crystal meth. You know? Jeez. And someone actually said that. I was like offended. I was like, oh, sexy tan offender, maybe. Not a sex offender. Speaking of sex offenses, and pimping and pandering is not considered that if it's on a fucking adult, you know? You're brokering an illegal activity. If it's a minor, that's a sex crime. That's a piece of shit thing to do. This woman asked, you know, it's like the whole crime was fucking manufactured by them. It's a bullshit case. So said, yeah, and then the main one is the pimping and pandering, that you caught a new case. I think it's called like new criminal behavior or whatever. Obviously you got to admit to that because you've already admitted to it in the state. Okay, so cool. So they're throwing out the marijuana thing. He says yes. Okay. So I'm like, you know, I'm in shackles. I'm in like, I think it was an orange jumpsuit, I want to say. Santos actually took a picture. You're not like supposed to do that, but he like had his like, you know, he had like his, what is it? What's the other one? Not the iPhone, Android. And he just like snapped a picture of me. He has that. I need to get that from him. If I get that, I'll post that on Patreon. I'm sure he has that. He's one of those people that keeps everything. But yeah, I know he has it. I've never seen it. I think he put it on Facebook at the time. Anyway, so they call me up and they read the allegations against me. You know, Mr. Leone did this, this, and that. He's a bitch. Da, 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 da. And the judge this is the same judge that gave me 5 years. You know, he gave me 5 years and then he gave me 3 months for the non-conviction DUI. And for the non-conviction DUI, that like, I really shouldn't have gotten 3 months for that. Honestly, I don't believe it. I hear people go, "You're a victim. You always play the victim." No, I'm not a victim. Every fucking thing I've done, I did something wrong for sure. But come on, 3 months for a non-conviction DUI. We're not living in fucking North Korea. That's pretty harsh, you know? Jeez. So they start reading all the allegations, you know. So he did the 5 years, the 3 months, and now I think I want to say it was 3 years is what they were recommending at the end. It might have been 2. Like I said, they flip-flopped. I don't remember. By the time it was sentencing, it was something like that. I think it was 3, I want to say. And so they're reading all the allegations, and my attorney, who was actually for a public defender, was great, and now he's in private practice. But he he he's like, well, Mr. Leone has opportunities. He has all these. I had letters from everybody, you know, from Wendy Benj, my attorney, producer for Love in Vain. She's also producer for Idiot Savant. Jim Oles wrote me a letter. Nick Stahl. Bunch of other people, but I had all of like the career people saying that, you know, pretty much if I got some leniency that I was coming out to some opportunities. So that's kind of what we try to paint. And Santos was there, and he even said, like, Santos is here today. He's the one that had bought film rights. Basically, they were trying to paint me that I did have some opportunities. If some leniency could be granted, it you know, I had a chance to make it because I had stuff that I had going on. And so now the judge gets on there, and he's was always described to me as a wild card. You know, you can't really predict him. You know, sometimes he's super cool, and sometimes he's like, life. Like, sir, it's a probation violation. The most you can give him is a year. Life. Fuck that guy. Sir. It's like drinking vodka. And Cheech and Chong. That's fucking vodka, man. It was like that kind of shit. Judge Wilson was his name. All in all, he was all right to me. I mean, the first time it was a 5-year mandatory minimum. The second was 3 months, and he gave me love on that one. I had no idea what he was going to give me on this one. So they start reading all the allegations, and they read everything except for the marijuana thing, like they had said. He gets to the pimping and pandering, and my attorney says, let it be noted that Mr. Leone's already reached a deal with the state. He's going to get 3 years in state custody. And he's reading the case, probably reading it for the first time, sitting at his little throne or whatever. And he goes, 3 years? Isn't that punishment enough? And I swear to God, my attorney, or my PO, Josh, the guy that hated me, he goes, well, sir, there's also marijuana allegations. He's a drug user as well. I was like, what? I thought you couldn't use that against me. I'm like, what? You just told me that they had dropped it. And he's like, shh. And he like whispers to me. He's like, hey, I don't know. It seems like he doesn't want to give you a lot of time. Just shut up. I was like, okay. I'm like looking at Karina. I was like, I love you. She's like, I love you too. Like, Santos is like, I love you. I was like, I love you too, Santos. You're probably watching. I appreciate you showing up. That was cool. Solid of you. It was. It's what a real friend does, and I do appreciate that. So he goes, well, 3 years is he's like, you're already getting 3 years, and that's what we want you. You guys want to give him 3 years? I don't think that's going to serve him any, you know, benefit. And I also had letters from, like, I think did Don Winslow write me? I don't know. I had letters from like some good supportive people that had accomplished a lot, and like they were like begging for the leniency. Actually, I don't think Don did. I think that was the second time. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So he goes, yeah, I'm not going to give you 3 years. Not for that. He's like, this is the third time you've been in front of me. So you're not just going to walk away with anything. No. He goes, can we do time served on this case? That's what he said out loud. So in my attorney's like, dude, I think he's just going to give you time served for, you know, I'd only been in custody for like a month federally or whatever. I was like, fuck, I hope so. Because if that were the case, then I could get to the state. I was sentenced to 3 years already, but they had like ways where you could get time knocked off. Like if you got your GED, even though I already had my diploma, you could like lie and then take like 6 months off. So really, if I gotten time served, I could have gone to state, got my GED, or like, you know, you can take like AA, you go to AA meetings or like whatever. There's different ways. They're called milestones now. It's a newer thing in state, but they can take time off it. There's like incentives for you to do better. It's part of when it started being overcrowded, they want to incentivize inmates to be able to get out to rehabilitate, and then you get some time knocked off. And my PO started arguing. No, he is a marijuana user. He is a cannabis addict. He is a bitch, whatever he was saying. Basically, really putting a lot of emphasis on the marijuana thing. And I'm just like, I thought he couldn't bring that up. What the fuck? So he's, the judge is like, I'm going to give you 8 months. I'm going to give you 8 months, and I'm going to terminate your probation. It's over after that. So good luck to you. And that was it. And I look at my parents. My dad's like one of those guys. Like if I was like a serial killer, he'd be like, you might get a Wikipedia page out of it. Like whatever I'm doing is like supportive of, And he's like, looks at me. He's like, yeah, 8 months. Like I just won some like award or something, And Karina's kind of like, she was happy too. I mean, everyone was happy with 8 months. I was happy with 8 months. I was like, that's cool. Whatever. Okay. I fucked up. I got a new case on probation. What was I expecting? Could have been a lot worse. I mean, they were in Brandon and Josh. Those guys hated me so much. They were just like, look like Bill Cosby's Jello Putin shit, We're like all like offended that I got 8 months. And that was it. They just ushered me out of the courtroom, but at least I was sentenced to 8 months and I knew what I was getting. So in theory, the way it would work now is that I would go to federal prison I'd already been down, I think, a month. But I was getting Fed credit for the whole time I'd been busted. So I think I've been down like 3 months already with Santa Barbara County. And they were actually giving me credit for that because I got arrested on the warrant. That's right. It was a federal warrant. So the second that I got arrested, even though it was in a county jail, I was getting credit for that at least. But if I'd gone to a state prison first, I wouldn't have gotten credit for the Fed. So it worked out perfectly where I had to go do 8 months. I already done like 3. So I had like 5 months left to go in the Feds, which is nothing. I mean, all the convicts, I could do that standing on my head. It's just true. And then I would get transferred to Santa Barbara County Jail. And then I would go right to Wasco, which is reception. And then I'd hit some mainline and I'd go home. I was like, oh, that's all good. Little did I know how much fucking horrible stuff was about to happen to me at San Bernardino, and then I went back to Victorville, and that was a nightmare. And then state prison was the fucking worst part of the whole thing, because they're like, oh, let's mix PC and GP. Oh, they'll probably get along fine. Yeah, right. Shit was insane. And we'll get into all that. Please like, comment, subscribe. Check out patreon.com/Ryan Leone. Remember, we got the raffle going for the Sinister paintings. All goes towards my Narcan initiative to get free Narcan out. It's a costly effort because there's a lot of legal expenses, and now I had to get the 501c. I already have that. I filed for it. It takes a while for it to go through, but I have filed. I spent my money for it. Did it through LegalZoom. So we're getting that thing going, and new book coming out very soon, Anti-Heroes. I don't know, I put that on social media, but that long lost book with Tony O'Neill, we're finally putting it out. I'm really excited for that. And June Gloom's coming out at the end of the summer with my documentary's coming out at the end of the summer. We know it's August now. We're not going to wait until film festivals and all that because all this shit got fucked up from it. Thank you guys. Appreciate all your support, and I will definitely see you next time. Stay safe. Palabra.